big dung beetle. Like I said, he's surveying the area. Is it going to find the dung? Well, the flies are already there. And I'm checking the time as we're looking here. Anyone seen any dung beetles come through yet? There it is. Oh my goodness. And the first contender has arrived, but he's stuck upside down. It took him a whole of 1 minute to find that dung. Now, I can put that myth of 20 minutes to rest and say that if there are any dung beetles in the area, it's almost instantaneous that they will pick up that fresh dung. And that's because of the antennae that they have on their head, those little small ones. They're quite feathered. And those are sense receptors. Isn't that amazing? Here's another one. Oh my goodness. So within 2 minutes, we've got 2 dung beetles. Go dung beetles. Now we're going to watch them dig and try and separate that fresh dung. We're going to see how quickly they get you. That was actually amazing, and that worked so much better than I thought it was going to. Let's see, they seem to be struggling to actually pull it apart, though. Have you noticed that? Are you not satisfied with the feces of a zebra? Goodbye. Okay, well, that's a bit rude. Well, we've still got our one friend here. Come on, you can pull it apart. There we go. No. This is actually quite interesting. Here's another one that's joined as well. Maybe it's still too hot. I don't know. I don't know why they aren't pulling it apart. Oh, that one's also left now. Now, we have a question from Louise in Final Control. And she was wondering if it's more difficult to pull apart when it's fresh. Now, I don't think so. Because as this feces bakes in the sun, it gets a hard crust on the outside, which then makes it difficult. They sort of have to crack into the little nugget, I don't know what you'd call a piece of dung, and then try and pull out the softer bits on the inside. Maybe it's a bit slippery, I'm not sure, but they do seem to be struggling a little bit. But you can see where the flies are all sitting in the middle, but you can see that that's perfectly open. So I'm wondering why they aren't going there, because that would be very easy to pull apart. And they've got, if you've ever picked up a dung beetle, actually any beetle, I'm sure you would have felt all those sort of hard bristles on their legs, or like little grooves. Maybe they're being quite cheeky and they're just trying to take one of those little nuggets of zebra feces. So there we go. They're all coming around, and maybe try and roll that away, which is cheating, of course. You can see, look, they're able to get inside. That one's just pulled this dung nugget apart, sorry. There we go. Finally, someone has found the one in the middle. They're not impressed by this, though. And I've never known dung beetles to have a preference to dung. I mean, I've seen them collecting impala dung before and rolling it up and taking it away. You see how easy it is to open up? It's not difficult. I've seen them with buffalo dung, zebra dung, all the different types of dung. I've seen dung beetles sort of coming towards and having a look at it. Let's see if we can get anything to come through and successfully roll a ball. Now, speaking about bugs, and as we watch them, I know Maggie from Ohio was wondering if I've ever swallowed a bug while driving. Maggie, I've swallowed many bugs that would probably fill up a large dinner plate. I've eaten flies, actually a couple while I've been live here, and almost felt the need to get sick. I've eaten a butterfly once, which I don't think into a boy's mouth, and unfortunately he ended up dying, and they said it was because of the sort of powder, the dust that you see on their wings. Maybe he had an allergic reaction and it closed his throat up, which I thought was quite scary for her. Then I used to run around with my mouth closed, but I didn't die, I was okay. What else? I've had dung beetles hit me in the face before and all sorts of other things. So yeah, we've had lots of different things. I've eaten termites on purpose and then also not on purpose. So quite a few things. I wouldn't like to eat a dung beetle, though. They seem busy. These two seem to be semi-satisfied with the dung. No, that one's not. As I said, that he flew away. But there's a couple of smaller dung beetles that have now joined to the right of the flies. You see the long legs. I wonder if that wasn't a spider dung beetle, because it had particularly long legs. Lots of different insects coming through now. Of course, the flies are coming to feed on the moisture that they're getting off of the dung. And of course, the dung beetles actually want the feces. So they also feed on the dung themselves. But the main thing is to house a sort of home and a food source for the egg, and then potentially for the larvae if the egg successfully hatches. Let's see, it's digging in all the different nuggets. Now, seeing as though we're talking about dung, Soraya from New Jersey, you were wondering if the dung beetles didn't eat the dung, would the bush be overrun with the feces? That's correct. You are 100% right. Oh, let's see, they seem to be having an argument now. And I love the way that they're able to flick each other around. Maybe these dung beetles are actually just eating themselves, because we haven't seen them try and make a ball. We've seen them open it up a little bit and actually pop some of it in its mouth. So I wonder if they just aren't having a feed now this morning as well. And sorry, Soraya. So yes, that's definitely between the dung beetles and the termite mound, the termites and the maggots. They're responsible for getting rid of all this sort of organic matter. And of course, the dung beetles and the termites do a very, very good job. Sorry, that is me. I'm going to very quickly take my foot off the brake. I was very silly and I forgot it on here. I apologize. There we go. Very, very sneaky of me. My foot stuck to the pedal. And so yes, you saw how very early this morning, perhaps if you did catch the beginning of the show, we saw a couple of dung piles that had almost sort of looked like the feces was all loose, and it was spread out quite a bit on the ground. And that's what they do. They start to eat it from underneath. You get all the different types of dung beetles. So the endocorporate dung beetles, which live inside the dung, so they don't roll balls. They're often responsible for, it almost looks like they thin the dung out and it becomes light and fluffy, and they try and take out all those nutrients. So they like to do that. And eventually it will just go away with the combination of the rain and the wind. It'll just disappear and turn into nothing. Now there's lots of tiny little beetles you can see moving around. And I think that's what this dung beetle is doing, as I think it was actually eating itself, eating the dung instead of just trying to roll a ball up. That's quite interesting. You see there, they dig, open it up, and then move off onto the next one. You look at this sneaky one on the left, doing exactly what I said it was trying to do. Well, the one on the left did really did flip the other smaller dung beetle. Now, David from Napa, you were wondering, how do the dung beetles find the dung so fast? And that's because of the little antennae that you see over there. They're feathered, almost feathered like a moth's antennae, and they're very good sense receptors, so they're able to pick up sort of by smell. Goodbye. And they'll figure that out. But there's so much feces around in the bush. There's so many different animals, of course. But wasn't that absolutely wonderful? So I think we saw a combination of things. I think we saw the dung beetle